Hey, what's up, you guys? It's me, Eclectic Witch, or Psychic Me, and Natasha, and I just finished filming one video, and I decided and felt inspired to film another one. So, I just finished filming the video for your higher self, attuning, connecting, what it's all about, what not, all about your higher self. And I feel like since I briefly went over about ego, I feel like it's important I now talk about your shadow self. Because we talk about the best version of us, but so many people, even hearing the name of shadow self, they're just like, oh no, I don't want to get into that darkness. Like, that sounds evil or devil work or something. And it's like, I just want to clarify about how connecting with your shadow self, why it's important, how you can do it, and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, please keep watching. If you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit like if you like the concept of this video. I like to post videos about witchcraft and spirituality when I can, so let's get into the topic of this video. So, what is your shadow self? Now, I don't want you to associate your shadow self with something evil, because you hear shadow and you assume, oh, darkness, evil, bad. That's not the case. Not necessarily, at least. Not so defined black and white, at least not to me. Your shadow self is essentially the part of yourself that you do keep hidden from most of the world, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily evil. It usually indicates that your shadow self is just the wounded part of you, the part of you where darkness is there, but we choose not to acknowledge it, whether it may be too painful, because your shadow self is essentially the part of you that holds the darkness from you. But that doesn't have to mean evil. It could mean pain. It could mean that you just need healing. Like, your shadow self is the part of you that essentially holds your subconscious. It holds your emotions and your thought process. And whether that be good or bad, that is what your shadow self is. Now, I'm going to get a little personal here, but I feel like I need to relate a little bit with you all on this, because this can be a personal topic. Your shadows, like, for me personally, I've experienced many forms of trauma in my lifetime. Some has been physical abuse. Well, a lot has, to be completely honest, but I've had physical abuse in my life, verbal, mental, emotional neglect, and a bunch of other things. I won't go too far into detail, but with that in mind, my shadow self definitely has issues related to abuse and trauma. And within my shadow self, my subconscious, my shadow self held in memories that I had suppressed because it was too painful for me to remember. My shadow self held things like suppressed thoughts and memories that I would just try to bury down or suppress, or try to, I would try to keep myself physically being busy to distract myself from the past or what had happened or what was going on at the time. And with that being said, now that you understand what your shadow self is, why is it important to connect with your shadow self? So, with you understanding what is your shadow self and being essentially part of your subconscious, but it also very well being a part of you that most of us just don't acknowledge because we fear, the things that we try to keep without our, far from our minds. Like, things are painful, things can be painful. We may try to push it back for, a moment or two, which is fine and normal. Sometimes we need a breather, but when you suppress something for years, months, that's when the real shadow work begins. And that's kind of why I'm filming this video, not just so I can encourage others to get more into shadow work, but I feel like if you are to evolve with, as a person, as a spirit, with your gifts, whoever you are, you cannot ignore any aspect of yourself. I want you to connect with your higher self. I want you to connect with your spirit guides, who you are as a person, but you also need to connect with your shadow self because it is a part of you. It's just a part of you that most of us don't like. Like, when you face your shadow self, can you look in the mirror deep into your eyes just like this and face yourself and face all the darkness that comes with it. And I know it sounds scary, it sounds horrible, and you're thinking, how do I start? How do I do it? Well, I'm here to tell you. Now, for me, with the nature of the abuse and trauma I went through, it was very hard for me. It was hard to even, at first, it was hard for me to even say things and feelings and events out loud. At first, I couldn't even say the words. I was just so overwhelmed with feeling, which is normal. So at first, music was very effective for me. I would essentially listen to music that I would listen to where the songs would have the words that I wanted to say, but I didn't have the strength to say. And simply by listening to them, I felt like I had released some aspect of the pain, a little bit, you know? And that was powerful for me. Whether you be listening to music, singing it, or playing it, music really does heal the soul. It is the bridge between heaven and earth, and it helped me in the very beginning, for sure. Whether it be for releasing pain or empowering yourself, music was very powerful. Now, besides music, what are other ways that you can connect with your shadow self and start healing your shadow self? Well, music was one of them. Next was writing. I know writing isn't ideal for everyone, especially if you have chicken scratch handwriting, or you may not know the words to say. But writing helped me a lot because once I finally did release enough, I was starting to think, okay, let me just think. And then all these memories started flooding back. I started having a lot of thoughts for myself. And like I said, I was very emotionally overwhelmed. So I started writing because my head basically became so big for myself. Like, I wasn't full of myself. I wasn't egotistical. But my mind was cluttered. My mind was heavy. And me simply putting that information or thoughts or emotions simply on paper, not only was I able to put all of that down and get it out of my head, but once I read back, I was able to actually make sense of it. Because, you know, when it's first initially in your mind, it's not organized. But simply by seeing it in front of you, you can kind of, you know, organize or execute it better, or try to, you know, confront it better, more directly and whatnot. So music and writing helped me a lot. And then when I finally had the strength, I decided maybe I'm ready to tell someone else. Now, I'm not going to lie, at first, I wasn't ready to tell a person yet, so at first I went to my spirit guide. Now, for you guys, regardless if you are, you know, like me, I'm a psychic medium. I'm very, you know, I've been channeling spirit since I was younger, because I'm still young, but even if you are not a psychic medium like me and you can't directly see or communicate with spirits like in the same capacity that I can still pray or call on your spirit guides or your ancestors or your loved ones, because even if you cannot sense them, they hear you, they sense you, they will visit, they will come. And at least by releasing to them, they will literally take part of the burden. And most of the time, when you tell them horrible, horrific news or release to them, they will most likely comfort you and shield you in some type of energy if they have the capabilities of doing so for you. So regardless if you can talk to spirits directly or not, or channel them and whatnot like I can, you can still express and connect and pray to your spirit guides for strength, or just talk to them to release or empower you to help you further heal your shadow self. Like I said, music, writing, spirits. Then finally I decided, okay, I'm ready to talk to someone else. And then I would. And then sometimes, you know, sometimes we may want to get, you know, whether it be to vent or to actually get advice. It's always good to eventually talk to someone, because once you finally have the strength to tell somebody else, you're no longer holding yourself. You're finally in a place where, you know, it's not like a secret. It's not like it's out there. You're not holding all of the weight or burden on yourself. It's shared with someone else. Now, besides, you know, writing, music, spirits, other person, what are other ways you connect with your shadow self? Well, some people use art. I'm not very artistic, but I can, art can help people. I also know that doing some form of physical activity can help people. Now, this can either be for, physical well-being, like working out, or it may be reconnecting a part of you. Like maybe when you were a child, you loved skateboarding or riding your bike or tennis, or, like you had a physical hobby that you did, but you just don't do no more. Simply by doing a physical activity not only connects, like not only physically grounds you and it's, good for your heart, but you can also be creative or connect with a part of yourself that you haven't done in so long, which can essentially tend to your higher self, the spirit of yourself, and, heal you in some form. Because I know that I remember that there was a stage where I wasn't a kid no more, and I was like young adult, and I realized, hey, I don't do so and so so much like when I was a kid, and I don't want to lose that part of me. Or maybe I stopped doing this for years and I just want to reconnect with that part of myself. Like depending on the nature of your shadow self, there may need to be more work done, whether it be energy healing, whether it be maybe you need actual external help. Nothing is wrong with therapy at all. Don't let anyone tell you different. I don't personally seek one, but I do have family and friends who do. And I'm all about, like, people doing what's best for them. So essentially, just to wrap up the overview of this video, what is your shadow self? It's the aspect of you that holds the darkness within you, that usually had dealt with some form of trauma, abuse, neglect. Like there were suppressed or buildup of emotions that happened to you throughout your whole life that most of us just don't want to confront or deal with. And I feel like healing our shadow self should be more mainstream, because it goes hand in hand with not just our, not just our physical well-being, but our mental health well-being. Our shadow self and our higher self, if we can learn to channel the best version of us and the worst version of us, we will become both. Like, we will become more whole of a person. Because if you are a spiritual minded person like me, and you're only focusing on your higher self, and you're like, I'm focusing on my higher self, I'm doing all this intuitive psychic development, but I'm still not sensing anything, most likely you're not acknowledging your shadow self that needs healing, that may have blockages within you, that have suppressed emotions, that, if you don't acknowledge both parts of these aspects of yourself, then you're not whole at all. And that's something I have came to terms with over time, that I learned that as I was growing with my gifts, the universe would guide me to connect with my shadow self. I had to have a balance, because you can't embrace one side of you and hope that you are whole. You have to acknowledge all parts of you, good and bad, because that is what makes you whole. That is what makes you evolve and grow. And it is ugly. It does hurt. It takes years sometimes, especially if you are alone. But luckily, there are so many resources and people out there, and social media, there's Facebook groups, like there's so many resources these days to connect with your higher self in ways and means. Just, I encourage everyone to get in tune with not just their shadow self, their higher self. Get in tune with your spirit guides, learn who you are as a person, and focus on your healing. So, and like I said, I have dealt with many forms of trauma. I'm now a psychic medium, an energy healer, teacher, and I wouldn't have got as far as I have without acknowledging both parts of me. And I only wish the best for you all. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns related to your shadow self, or anything that I've explained within this video, please comment below. I will love to engage with you and respond when I'm able to. So thank you guys for watching. Good luck on your shadow work journey. If you would like me to go further into shadow work, because I only explained mostly about your shadow self, comment down below, tell me, I will make a video about it. Like I said, thank you guys for watching, and blessed be.